All right, guys, so we're back staring at my engine bay, and I just wanted to give you an update running my car with an off-the-shelf map. So I explained a lot about why I picked the DOCRace turbo kit, and a big reason is that it uses a proper big turbo, like a full-frame turbo, but it uses the OEM wastegate that allows you to use off-the-shelf maps. So I've been doing some initial testing, and I have the same TU high-pressure fuel pump, and I have the 550i clutch, and I'm running the Stage 2 Plus E30 map just to kind of demonstrate the benefits of upgrading your turbo with the same map. Now, my goal was to reduce my 60 to 130 and 100 to 200 times by about 1 second once I get everything dialed in. So I just did this initial testing to see, without making any other changes other than the turbo, how much my power would increase. And I was completely blown away. I did not expect this at all. But here are my stock turbo times for reference. This is running the E30 Stage 2 Plus map. You can see with slope correction, it adds about like 1/10 of a second, but you can see what the times are. And then this is what I made with the DOCRace kit. And as a reminder, this is the smallest turbo that fits on the kit. This is just the 8374, and I already met my goal. I'm already taking off a second from my draggy time. So yeah, I'm really impressed. And I think looking at the logs, you can kind of see why it performs so well. Primarily when you look at the load, that's the main calculation for how much power the car is trying to generate. And as you go towards redline, it just holds way more load. It's way closer to the target, where the stock turbo, when you look at the load as it's going higher in the RPM, it begins to drop off a lot faster. So that's why running a bigger turbo with the same fuel system, the same map and everything will make more power and run faster. It's basically holding the torque for longer and making more power towards redline. Also, we can look at some of the other parameters in the log. So a lot of people didn't realize that you could run a TU pump with a big turbo. And again, this is an example of that working just fine. I have E35 in the tank to help keep timing as good as possible and clean things up. And the fuel pump is still holding pretty well. It dipped to about 2,700 PSI in the mid-range, and then you see it recover. And when I shift into the next gear, it holds fine as well. So I'm really impressed with that. I definitely feel like we can taper boost in down low so that the initial hit isn't such a big strain on the fuel system, and then add more boost up top so that we can pull even harder and get more acceleration. Also, a lot of people were concerned about spool time and how hard the turbo is working. And you can see the wastegate duty cycles just like in the low 80s, and it's peaking around 21 PSI, and then it holds 20 PSI to redline. And again, a custom tune will be able to dial this in a little better and take full advantage of the fuel system and the turbo's capabilities. And you can also see ignition timing is running pretty good. In fourth gear, it actually goes all the way up to 17 degrees, which is crazy. But again, it's just a characteristic since the IETs are lower, the car's running more efficiently. You know, everything in combination allows the car to make a lot more power and pull a lot more out of the engine. I highly, highly recommend getting a custom tune. No matter what, it'll give you the safest setup, the best setup, the most efficient setup, but it's possible to run your car on an off-the-shelf map, especially if you want like an ethanol tune or a methanol tune to get the party really going, but you find yourself in an area where there's no E85 available or you run out of meth. You can safely switch to an off-the-shelf map and drive around on that until you get your preferred fuel into the tank. So a lot of people wanted to see these numbers, and this is why I recommend a big turbo with maybe a smaller or less capable fuel system versus trying to max out the stock turbo with a huge fuel pump and fully 85 and meth and all these other things. It's just not an efficient way to run the stock turbo. It doesn't make a lot more power when it's pushed to its limits versus swapping to a big turbo that's properly designed to make big power. So you guys know me, I make recommendations based on the concepts. You know, I've explained a lot about how high pressure fuel systems work and things like that, but I wanted to be able to show you guys some data to back up my claims so you understand why I have this crazy notion that a big turbo and a TU pump is a better use of your setup than a huge fuel pump with the stock turbo. So hopefully this kind of clears that up and maybe answers some of your questions about what mods you want to do next. If you guys have any other questions or comments or are looking for any other recommendations, feel free to leave them down below. Thanks.